Hello, and welcome to Tech to Tech presented by KYZEN, where we will explore common cleaning questions and answers. Let's get started. I'd like to introduce KYZEN's own Fernando Rueda.
Good afternoon. We are gonna talk about cleaning in remanufacturing and look at what's new, the new updates on our products and the process. So let's review a little bit. Remanufacturing, this is the standard definition. We're gonna rebuild a product to an original spec using reused, repair, or new parts. Remanufacturing can also be called rebuilding or reconditioning, and it includes a variety of metals in many different industries. Some of the industries that where remanufacturing happens are construction, aviation, power generation, mining, automotive, etc. There are different metal alloys used in different vehicles for different industries. Aluminum is one of them, and we have the most common ones on the screen here. And also ferrous materials like cast iron and steel are also used in remanufacturing. Some of the most common contaminants that get removed in a remanufacturing operation are oil and grease, carbon, and oxides. In a typical remanufacturing process, there's going to be some disassembly, cleaning, then some sandblasting, inspection, and even after inspection, you can have another cleaning step, which we haven't included here. But then it goes through the replacement of any parts that don't meet the specs, and everything gets assembled back after that. What are the main objectives here? All parts being remanufactured are very, very dirty, heavily soiled. Some of the residues are burned and even harder to remove. So the main objectives are going to be to try to clean effectively with a single product. And we want that product to have a long bath life. Part of that long bath life is going to be removing the contaminants, especially the oil, out of that solution. So we're going to need, to facilitate that, we're going to need a non-emulsifying chemical. We also want to reduce media blasting, sandblasting, or any other type of media blasting out there, which is used to remove the carbon or smut remaining after cleaning. And then one of the key things after we're done is we need to make sure that we comply with all the local regulations. In many cases, you're going to use a wastewater treatment system, and we need to ensure that our process and the chemicals used in the process are compatible with this wastewater treatment system. And what considerations do we need to have a good process? So are we dealing with one type of alloy, or are we dealing with several alloys, whether they are aluminum, steel, etc.? The design of the parts is very important. We need to know what kind of difficulties or challenges we have, blind holes, fine pitch threads, etc. The cleaning equipment being used also needs to be the proper piece of equipment to deal with the challenges that we have with the parts and the contaminants. And again, that's another one of the considerations that we have, the contaminants, the soils on the parts. And it can be, as we mentioned before, oil, grease, and environmental residues. One more time, we mentioned before the wastewater treatment system. Environmental concerns are also important. We want to make sure that we have the smallest footprint possible. The typical cleaning process in a manufacturing operation looks like this. This particular graphic is for aluminum. Okay, we're gonna need an aluminum safe product to do a pre-cleaning, removing most of the oil and grease. We'll rinse, and then we'll go into the heavy-duty cleaning, where we're gonna remove the carbon, smut, oxides, etc. And again, the product needs to be aluminum safe. So again, if we have the same product on both tanks and number 1 and number 3, we cover that aluminum safe characteristic. And finally, we'll do a rinse. And sometimes if we desire long-term rust protection, we will use a rust protection product in the last rinse. This is the same graphic, but for steel. Main difference here is going to be the type of product that you're going to use in wash 1 and 3, and the use of an RP, which is going to be more common than with aluminum, but only if you need it. Sometimes corrosion is not going to be a factor because of the type of alloy that you use. So again, I highlight here in red, RP if needed. So again, it's more common with steel to use the RP. What kind of challenges do we face? Okay, so incomplete cleaning is going to be one of them, and that kind of brings down the efficiency of your process and limits throughput. Insufficient or lack of oil removal, as we mentioned before, to get a good bath life, we need to remove the contaminants, especially the oil. Compatibility with the wastewater treatment system. Some products can create challenges for certain wastewater treatment systems. So we need to make sure that we verify that the product and process that we're using is compatible with the wastewater treatment system that we use. And compatibility with aluminum. If your parts are made of an aluminum alloy, you need to make sure that the product you're using is compatible, even if you leave it there for a longer process, a longer cycle. So we kind of look at all these challenges and needs that we have and created new products. So these new products address now the cleaning efficiency to get more throughput, which equals more revenue. Better oil removal is going to bring us longer bath life, reduce waste, and consequently process cost savings. And again, the compatibility with the wastewater treatment system is very important. So what are the keys to success? So make sure that the chemistry is a good match for what you want to do. If you use a very caustic product when you are cleaning aluminum parts, you are not going to have good results. Either it's going to discolor the aluminum or it's going to etch it and damage the part. We always want to take time to optimize the process. We can start with certain parameters, but there is always room for improvement. So we want to take a look and make sure that we have the optimal process parameters. Rinse is critical, and there is a say that you are only as clean as your last rinse. So you want to make sure that you have a good rinse that's clean at all times. And again, take a look at the temperature, also filtration systems, and temperature is key because some metals are sensitive to temperature. So you need to keep that in mind. Do we need long-term corrosion protection or in process? Especially with steel, there could be the potential for flash corrosion between stages. So you want to make sure that you cover that area too, whether you need it in process or long-term. Once you have your process in good shape, dialed in, you want to make sure that you have good process control. That will ensure that you have good, consistent cleaning results, and that you're removing the oil and monitor your concentration to maintain that process properly. We keep going back to environmental concerns, but also the safety of the personnel using the products and involved in the process is very important. Well, in closing, these newer technology products bring some benefits that the older technology products didn't have. So they remove the oil better, extend the life of the product, reduces the waste, which brings process cost savings for us. The improved cleaning and efficiency is going to allow for more throughput, more production, which equals more revenue, which it's one of the key goals on any operation. And compatibility with wastewater treatment systems are going to help comply with all the local regulations and in terms of environment. Any cleaning in a remanufacturing operation will bring some significant cost savings because it's more effective than machining new parts, creating new parts. Reduced media blasting also is going to keep the integrity of the part. It's going to maintain the specs better. We're going to have a smaller environmental footprint, okay, because we save energy, we use less raw materials, less waste, and lower pollution. And if you want to have a good transition, a good process implementation to ensure that everything is working fine and is set up correctly, please contact your KYZEN regional manager, and he will or she will ensure that everything is in the right proper working condition. So we're going to look at some frequently asked questions on this type of operations. So if the parts contain more than aluminum, if there is more than one alloy in the process, the parts that you need to clean. So you can basically you're going to have to use a product that is multimetal safe. Okay, we can look at that. Your KYZEN regional manager can look at the process, at the parts that you're cleaning, and recommend the proper product and the proper process for you. What makes burnt on carbon or smut difficult to clean? So when you're cleaning on aluminum, you have to be more careful with the product that you use, because aluminum has some problems when you use very caustic, very aggressive products. So you're going to see some compatibility issues. So, and steel it can take a tougher product. It can take a more caustic product without showing that damage that could happen with aluminum. And comparison to traditional cleaning methods, what's the savings in process times? It's all going to depend on an individual case. It's not standard for everybody. Some people are going to be able to save more time depending on the difficulty of the parts that they're cleaning, whether they're always very dirty or not that dirty. Everything is going to depend on an individual process. And we can save anywhere from 20% to 50% time in a process as a general rule. And also, it will improve the sandblasting, so we can lower that up to 80% sometimes. Any suggestions for machine companies that can help with this application? And again, this is all on a case-by-case basis. KYZEN, we work with all the equipment manufacturers out there. There are some that produce spray equipment, some produce ultrasonic tanks. We work with all of them to make sure that our products work well in those type of equipment. And after we evaluate your needs, we can recommend the type of equipment, and you can choose from a list of manufacturers, depending on the type of equipment that you're going to need. And that's all for today. And I thank you for attending this session, and hopefully it helped you. Thanks.
Thanks, Fernando. And thank you guys for watching this Tech to Tech session. If you would like to discuss this topic further or have any questions not answered in the session, please contact your local KYZEN regional manager or send an email to tech@KYZEN.com, and we will have someone follow up with you as soon as possible. And if you like this video, be sure to follow us on our social media platforms for more expert cleaning content.